my sheet front back.
We just say,
Saving paper.
At least I know all that stuff.
we just say I move to appoint committees as listed on said sheet.
We can do that, but I believe I want to read them all. I mean, at least put every name out there so that it's,
Maybe we could just do it committee by committee. Jeff could read them and we could.
I don't know any of these people.
That's good, that means you don't have any bias.
That's right.
I bet they know my name. Well, I do know a couple. I know Paul, Dan, Ruth, Pete Russell.
We have verified that the corporation did the same deputies as last year too, right? When they did their corporation.
No, I haven't.
I assume that, I haven't heard that they did something different, and I think we would have heard that,
Right.
but,
Well, is Chief gonna be here tonight?
as far as I know, I haven't heard that he isn't.
I haven't heard that he isn't either, so.
Ken Dowdy, Doughty.
Benjamin Redmond. Redmond.
Thank you.
What's Ken's last name?
Scribner?
Script, that's, why I lost. I can say it once every day, but today
It's age, Calvin.
I hate to admit that, but I remember before we had these new phones, I knew probably 100 phone numbers in my head at any given time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's it.
I don't
There's so many people.
My number,
If I lost this phone, yeah, I'd lose contact with a lot of people. It's made things too easy, you know?
it's incredible.
Oh, sorry. You get one of those.
I don't necessarily
I have the other one.
need to be available all the time, you know? There used to be a period
wants
in your
one?
life where you could just like, you know, if you weren't home, you didn't have to answer the phone.
I know.
Then there was a period when even if you were home, you could look at the caller ID and didn't have to
Yes.
answer too.
Yeah, I was always too cheap to, pay the $3 a month to add that to my landline.
Of course, before then, there was a time when you could just pick up the phone and listen to what your neighbors were saying too.
I remember that. I'd be like, can you guys, we want to order a pizza. Can you guys hang up for about 5 minutes?
The three-body line?
Yeah, yeah.
Three-body line.
Yeah, and back then, we only had to dial 4 digits to get anywhere in town, so.
We only had to dial, in our town, we only had to dial the last 4, but we didn't have party lines. Everybody had their own line, but.
When they went to the 7-digit, we started getting a lot of calls for New Gloucester, because the first 3 of ours was 657, which was the New Gloucester exchange, so if they forgot to put a 1 or something in front.
You know, it used to make me mad, though, that people right around the corner would be long distance.
Brunswick long distance.
What do you mean? It's a 926. They're right around the corner.
All set. Rock and roll. We'll call this meeting to order. We do have a quorum. All 5 selectmen are here. And being the first meeting after town meeting, we do need to do election of chair and vice chair.
I nominate Jeff Wakeman as the chair.
Second.
Any other nominations?
I nominate Sarah Hall as vice chair.
Second.
Okay, so are there any other nominations for either chair or vice chair? Okay, for chair, all in favor of Jeff Wakeman? And for vice chair, all in favor of Sarah Hall?
I thank you, gentlemen.
All right, could we please rise for the pledge of allegiance?
I think it's not that well.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Are there any amendments to the agenda?
Just 2 new on the consent for correspondence, a citizen complaint and a letter from Xfinity.
Have you forwarded the complaint to Calvin?
No, but I probably should.
That's probably where it needs to go. All right, thank you. Public comment. Any public comment this evening? Okay. Consent agenda with the 2 additions.
I move we accept the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
All in favor? Motion carries. Action and discussion items. Act on code officer title and hours. So with the passage of the administration budget at town meeting, we had put in to make the codes official a full-time position, and so we just need to discuss how we're going to handle that. I did talk with Paul this afternoon to see if he had any thoughts, and at this point he was thinking that it would probably be best to add the hours on Friday, which is the other day the town office is open, but to make the public hours like 1 to 4, and the morning hours would be so he could work on things that he hasn't been able to do during when he's being when the public's coming in and having to do inspections and things like that. So he has a block of time that's kind of set aside for other things that need his attention.
Sounds right. So what's that title gonna be?
At this point, we haven't.
Why would the title change?
Well, we had talked about possibility of town planner type thing or something like that, with the especially with the second item here, getting ready to start on the comprehensive plan and so on. But at this point, I think we can probably keep the title the same, but we can always add to it. But so I'll make the motion.
Oh,
Yes.
no.
Just a second.
What?
Well, what were you going to say?
I was just saying, are we going to designate certain hours for codes and certain hours for some of these other things that we were looking at having done, or we're
Well,
gonna just?
we have public hours for codes right
Right.
now.
Right, I
We-
would leave that to
We
That's what I was asking.
We were going-
discretion
yeah.
as the day goes and figuring out,
we were going to add more public hours on Friday,
Right.
and then in Friday morning we were going to have time that was not set aside as public hours, so he could work on some other things.
But flexible depending on what drives what where.
Right. I mean, it's always flexible. I mean, depending on how things go, and if we find that we need to add more public hours, we can. You know, it's a flexible thing, and it's kind of up to his discretion. If somebody comes in here that really needs something done on Friday morning, it's not likely that he's going unless he has something he has to get done for something else. He's
Right.
probably gonna-
I'm just asking because I know people have asked, so kind of put it out there so that they'll understand.
but, so, and you had a question or
Yeah,
comment?
I just want to be clear, is the decision been made to bring Paul on as a permanent position? Is that what you're talking about, or you're discussing it?
This is the discussion on making it full-time.
Okay.
If we add these hours, he becomes full-time.
Okay.
By our,
I have a couple of comments if I could address the board.
Could you state your name?
Jeff DeWitt.
and if you could come up here just so that the microphone can pick you up.
For the record, I've been in Durham, almost 30 years, second or third generation. I have experience in the building industry. I've built houses all around the area, Cumberland, Yarmouth, Durham. We're a community, we're a close-knit community, and we're all gonna have, sometimes we disagree with one another, and I think it's prudent to bring it out in the open, and I think we have to have open discussions about it so that we can hopefully work together. And I've got 2 concerns, okay? Number one, I have had some disagreements with Paul. We've talked it and worked together on it, but we did have some disagreements, and we didn't totally agree with each other. That's not a problem. Construction is rough and tumble. I can deal with that. I have no problem following the codes, and I think I've talked with quite a few of the builders in town, and most of them are professional. They do a good job, and they're not out to do anything illegal. I have no problem following the code. That's our duty. But sometimes there are gray areas that are not in the code, and you have to use your discretion to figure out the best way to deal with it. And Paul and I have had some disagreements about that, and I can deal with it because I'm not afraid of confrontations, because I think if you can get through it, both of you are better for it. But there are some people that may be intimidated by it. So I just want to publicly say that there have been some issues, and I guess I'd like to ask you, have you had any other complaints about the code enforcement officer?
Mostly from people who have been having disagreements with, and so on. So there have been
Okay, so you've had some
There have been a
written,
few.
or?
No,
That's where it comes down
I
to.
don't
is
believe
I
there's been a lot
have
of written.
I have family that are builders in town, and yeah, I've heard several people have come to me, and up front, they're not very happy with the way things are. I've let them know
In
that
particular, what do you mean, not happy with the way things are?
things are different now. It's different expectations and following things to the T. And I let them know that if they would write things down and bring them to me,
Sure.
that we would address them. And they've never written anything down to bring to
Okay.
me.
Yeah, I want to be clear, though. I had no problem with following the code. We should follow the code. He's the authority, and he should be, I have no problem with that at all. I just want to make sure that we have a working relationship so that there's respect on both sides.
Sure.
And, you know, I'm not perfect. I make plenty of mistakes, and I'll be the first guy to, if I make a mistake, I'll try and correct it. But I want that same respect towards me as a builder. And, you know, looking out and beyond this situation right here, the other thing that I'd like you to consider, at the town meeting, you know, there's never enough revenue from the town to take care of all the needs of the town, never. There's roads that gotta be rebuilt, there's all these expenses, the schools, and the revenue's gotta come from somewhere. And I know that new construction homes bring in revenue. Not only do they bring in revenue and the economy is improved by it, but also the tax base. And the majority of the tax base in this town comes from residences. Mike Kopp's business a few years ago, that was a revenue stream for property tax, and that's gone. So now it's on the other side of the ledger, and you know, that's another issue altogether. But the long and the short of it is, I'm hoping that we can all work together, and I'm hoping we can have a cooperative, we can all work together and make things work. And you know, as I said, Paul and I have had some issues. I think we've worked through them, but I just want to make sure that, you know, if we have a full-time position that, you know, those are my concerns. You know, the other concern I have, and I don't know, you may know better than I do, and maybe Paul can address it. You know, we've had 30 or 40 years of part-time code enforcement, and right now, we're not in an economic boom. I mean, I was here, and probably many of you were, when we had 40 building, you know, we had a moratorium on building because we couldn't keep up with it. Well, there's a glut of lots, and there's all kinds of land available in all these developments. Nothing's moving. So I don't see I don't see a lot of action, and so I'm just curious about it, that's all. But, and the only other thing I would say, and I'm not against a full-time position, I guess I just question whether it now is the right time, or whether we have a little more time to see if everybody can work together and that it's really necessary. Maybe go through this building cycle and see if it works out, and then if everything's going good, go for it. That's just a suggestion. So that's about all I've got to say. I'll sit back here for a minute in case you've got any questions, but thanks very much.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Benjamin Redmond. I'm the vice commander of the AMVETS post here in Durham. And we had our meeting last night, and our commander was approached. He couldn't be here tonight. He would have been here, but he couldn't. He was approached by an individual in town, I won't say who, and that individual asked that we file a complaint against Paul Baines for an incident that happened earlier this year. There was an incident involving Paul and one member of our post who decided to shoot his mouth off a little recklessly and tried to speak for the post on behalf of the rest of us, which we didn't appreciate. He had no right to do that, and he was completely wrong. The post stands behind Paul Baines. The unfortunate part of Paul's job as the code enforcement officer is he's got to hold people's feet to the fire. And our last code enforcement officer didn't do that at the AMVETS post. And there are a bunch of us young veterans that are now at the post, part of the post, and we're trying to change the culture and improve that post. And Paul is working with us, but he is also holding our feet to the fire and making sure that we're following the code. And so we don't have a problem with Paul Baines, but there seems to be this public perception that we do, and the AMVETS post does not. And we support Code Enforcement Officer Baines.
Thank you.
One of the things that I think has coincided is that we've also adopted the MUBEC code, which is stricter than the code that we had in the past. And I think that people tend to assume that somehow that it's Paul holding people to a stricter standard, but we were obligated by state law to adopt that code, and it does have some changes in it from sort of the way things were. I mean, my father was a builder, my husband's a builder. I've grown up around the building trades, and I know there's stuff in the code that they both roll their eyes at, but they deal with it because that is what the newest code provides. So.
And the two guys that have come to me, I mean, one of them was wound right up the first time he called me, and he's like, "Who's this freaking Paul Baines guy?" And I told him the same thing. I said, if you've got valid complaints, I said, write them down and bring them to the board. We will address them. And both of them, I believe, have changed the way they do things. I don't think either one of them have had problems with Paul.
Yeah, again, I just want to be clear. I don't have any trouble at all with Mr. Baines and the code.
Sure.
I will follow the code, as we should. That's not the issue at all. I have no problem with that.
And the only person I ever talked to in in construction, and he said, at first he had a problem with Paul. He says, I don't know what this guy's problem is. And then as we got talking more and more, a month or two later, he says, you know what? He says, hey, he's no Dan Feeney, that's for sure. And he says, I like the way he is now. I like he's pretty clean and clear. He says, and I enjoy working with him now. I won't say his name, but he has red trucks all over this town. And he actually enjoys working with Paul now.
One other thing I would say, the purpose of me being here is not to beat up on my friend Paul Baines. That's not it at all. As I said, this is a community, family, business relationships. Whenever you have a beef or you have a disagreement, I believe in airing it.
Sure.
And hopefully that, my hope is to have a cooperative, working relationship so that everybody benefits. That's why I'm here.
Yeah, I think you've been nothing less than professional tonight.
So,
And it sounds like your concern more is whether you think we should have them full-time or not. And that's kind of what I was gathering from that. More of that than really whether or not you should or shouldn't follow the code. Which is kind of two different things. And I believe, if I remember right, Jeff mentioned something about it when the question came up at town meeting, that we was going to look at that. And it actually came up in a budget meeting too. What happens next year if everything dies down and we ain't giving out more than 2 or 3 permits a year? What do we do? Well, if the job doesn't warrant the hours, we would have to reevaluate that.
it'll be tough, but we'll have to reevaluate.
Right.
Because-
I mean, and part of looking at this move forward wasn't just for code, for the building end of it. It was other things that the town has actually slipped up on and not finished or completed that they should have. Somebody needs to do that, and it looks like it falls in that direction.
Part of the work that he's inherited boxes of incomplete documentation that he now has to go through and fix. That's part of the hours.
Ken Dowdy, I'm also part of the AMVET post over, and before this started to transpire, I was the one that had met with the state fire marshal's office that had come down because we have to meet state and federal code, being that it's a public meeting place. One of the frustrations that was there was that there's a gap between Durham and the state, and I'm not putting fault anywhere, only from the fact of we didn't know where Durham code enforcement officer kind of left off. So when she showed up, she actually stated that Durham is 12 years behind on code from where it actually should be. And she had statistics for all towns, it's not just Durham. But there was a, just that overlap of gap of for us to get with a code enforcement officer. Of course, at that time, he's not full-time either. So I don't know if that kind of helps in your decision of, where we stand as far as having somebody here. And I know the AMVET post is more than likely accepts the rule in Durham, because there's probably not that many public buildings here, but that was kind of an issue for us during that rebuild project that we had this last year.
You got one more.
I don't think it's fair to bring Paul on as full-time and then say, well, maybe later on it's not gonna be, I wouldn't wanna do that to somebody. I think, I get, I just wanna reiterate, I have no problems following the code, I have no problems working with anybody, I just wanna make sure we can all work together and we've got unity. That's it. And, I don't have an issue with, other than that.
And we also look at this as being a little bit broad, with the full-time hours as broadening a little bit. We have to update our comprehensive plan. We're required by state law to do that, and sort of look at some bigger overall sort of long-term planning decisions. And so we're hoping that Paul will spearhead some of that as well.
Well, there's a honeymoon experience when there's a getting used to each other.
And that's where a lot of it's coming from, I think, as far as what I've heard from folks, yes.
So I don't know whether Paul will want another date with me or not.
All right.
If I could suggest, as a code enforcement officer myself, that whenever you have a job title that has the word enforcement in it, you're gonna have people that are not gonna be happy. You are gonna get complaints, because that's the nature of the job. You're making people toe a line that they don't wanna toe, or it's costing them money, so that they go hand in hand. People are not gonna be happy all the time. If they are, the code enforcement officer is not doing his job. I can go into a town and I can tell if there's never been an appeal in the last 10 years, someone's not doing their job. So, just throwing that out there.
So, I see another.
Are we in?
Yeah, I just.
I actually end up getting dragged into codes on a periodic basis and stuff. And it's always been a frustration of mine that we don't necessarily enforce the codes the way we should and stuff. And I really think that's what we're seeing, is we have somebody on board now that's actually enforcing and meeting the code requirements. And so I think it's causing frustration with a lot of people initially, but I think in the long term, most people know what the rules and regulations are. They just haven't been held to the mark and been made to live by them. I actually hope you do make it full-time, because I enjoy working with him. It's been a plus having him to talk to on different things that I do get dragged into, and hopefully strengthen the bond as we move forward. So hopefully you will make it a full-time position.
So I'll actually go ahead and make the motion as as I suggested before, that we make the codes officially full-time position.
Is that 32 hours?
I believe it's at least I think 32 is the minimum threshold for 4 days. And the additional hours will be on Friday, with published hours of 1 to 4 on Friday, and the rest of the time can be used to do things outside of the normal flow. So that would be my motion, to make him full-time, and that the new hours would be on Friday.
I'll second it.
Any discussion further? All in favor? Motion carries.
So that,
And this would be effective starting when?
When's the next full work week?
It would start Friday,
guys.
Friday. So.
start the new full work week.
So we'll make that the effective the next full work week, which is Friday the.
Friday the what?
Paul would like to speak.
Yeah, just Friday the 8th, I think.
Yeah.
Friday. So yeah.
That calendar needs to be changed. It's in January.
I'd just like to say in response to what I've heard here tonight that I appreciate all the work all the builders, all the homeowners and stuff have done in trying to adjust to the way that I'm handling the office. And I did want to say that if any, publicly say that if any builder or any homeowner feels that they're being asked to do something outside of either the ordinance or the code, they are free to challenge me on it, that the codes and the ordinances are here. I'm happy to sit down with them and look at them and see if perhaps I have erred, or to help them understand what in the code it is that I'm required to look at in regards to their project. So I appreciate meaningful challenge and meaningful solutions. I just hope that the public understands that in a way that they're willing to do that. I do try to stay open about it. I know I get a little bit on my high horse because I've been in the building industry for over 30 years, and I have a sense, like most of the other builders independently, that I know what the heck I'm doing. Thank you very much. Get a couple of guys like that in a room and it gets interesting real quick. But I would like to say they're free to come here and challenge me on those issues, and we can look at the book. And, and I'm open to alternatives that meet the same intent. So thank you for your patience.
Next up is act on creation of comprehensive plan committee. We've had some preliminary discussions that we want to get started on that. We don't have much in the way of funds to do much this year, but we can get the committee going. I think one of the things that is supposed to be done is a survey, and we can probably do that with little to no funds. And there can be a lot of research that can be done as to what we need to do, and then we can start next year looking at funding it better. But that's...
Yeah. Sorry. So Paul and I have actually been talking about that, and he's been formulating.
I've started out trying to put together a Gantt chart, a flow chart in regards to comp. Comp plan oftentimes takes as much as 2 years to put together. So Ruth and I have been sharing some ideas on how to kind of get the ball rolling on this. And as soon as we can put some sort of a plan together, we'd like to sit down with you guys at a meet and share with you what we have in mind, and make sure that it seems like it's fitting with where you think it needs to go. I know there's going to be some concerns about expenditures that are going to be required to complete this over time, that we don't wind up getting ourselves in a bind. But there's a lot early on that the committee can do about team building and learning how to work as a committee. Some stuff that shouldn't take a lot of financial backing to kind of get the ball rolling, in regards to taking apart the existing comp plan, saving the parts that still apply and are coherent, looking at the ones that aren't, just kind of getting an overall idea about which sections we're going to do and how to go about it. So I don't think it'll be a big hard hit all at once. The groups that I know that have done this successfully spent most of the initial time getting the committee to understand how to work well together with disparate ideas, because as a town, there's a lot of different ideas about how this town should grow, and all of those ideas should be heard and considered, and try to figure out how to put them all together in some way that works. So was where our conversations went.
Are you asking us to put this out now for a call for volunteers, or are you wanting to wait for until you can kind of get that initial?
I think a call for volunteers is the place to start. We need the people.
Do you have a sense of how big a committee? I think it's important to have all different viewpoints represented, but I also think if we get too big, it becomes increasingly unwieldy. So I didn't know if you had any thoughts about how big a committee?
In my 8 years in public realm, I've never seen a committee that was too big.
Fair enough.
So typically, because of the timeline, the length of time it takes to do this, oftentimes it is good to start big, because some of the folks that may realize that they don't have the time right now may still have time later on in the process to get re-involved. The biggest part about this is that whoever happens to be facilitating the committee with the chair and the other members has a good structure with which to work with, and a fairly good understanding of the task at hand, and keep the overall task, the week-to-week tasks or month-to-month tasks small enough to be achievable, because forward progress is always something that keeps momentum going on a group. If it just come in here once a month to argue, you're not gonna get anywhere very fast. So, you know, I hadn't actually thought about it too big. I didn't expect that could probably be an issue. If it is, I guess we'll have to figure it out. So,
I just was thinking that there's so many different sort of
Yeah.
perspectives on the future of this community.
So I was thinking at this point, if we just put out a call for volunteers and not even define what the committee will look like yet, but we can
But we
start.
will need the board to sanction a committee when we get ready
Right,
to
but
actually sit
we'll-
it down.
We'll put out the call for volunteers so that they can fill out the applications and so on, and at some point, we maybe give it a month, maybe early May, we can start looking at whatever applications we have and.
We can
see if-
post it on the
Yeah.
on the website, we can
On the-
post it on the TV station, it wouldn't hurt to put a few things up, maybe down at the Get and Go or a couple other
And I-
places.
Put something in the Tri-Town as well.
So, and I do believe that we have had some people over the last year or so express an interest, and so there may be some applications on file, because we have been sort of talking about the need to do this for a while, and some people have already expressed some interest in being involved in it.
And there is one other part there that I'm also sure you guys are gonna love, but it would be advantageous if we had a member of each board in town.
I think the chair would be a good guy to be on there.
on-
I'm just throwing that out there.
On the committee, you're throwing out there under the
Just throwing a
bus.
name out, he's very smart.
So it brings a real valuable approach, is because in planning board, you know, ordinance has to follow comp plan, so someone having a coherent idea of how to manage working with an ordinance can start to look at a comp plan as to how it's gonna affect it and help look into those things and stuff, so.
Can you reach out to the different committees that would, at least that would seem like it makes sense that somebody from them would.
Well, I can approach the planning board tomorrow night, and Historic District Commission is meeting on Thursday, provided I can make both of those meetings. Some family stuff going on right now that may interfere, but I'll get the word to whoever. If I can't make it, I'll get the word to somebody either through Ruth or the chairman of either of those committees or those boards to make that request.
So, I don't know we're general consensus that we'll put this out. We don't need to necessarily make a vote on that yet, but then when we get some applications back, then we can look at forming.
So they can put it on the paper, and on the town
Yeah.
channel, stuff like
Town
that.
channel,
website.
paper, website, yeah.
Sounds good.
With an understanding, hopefully, for people that this is not a short-term
No, this is a
couple of
long,
meetings, so that really doing the plan is gonna take an extended period of time, and it is a time commitment.
On different committees that I've been on, except for one, typically 7 to 9 people is what I've seen work. But with something like this, you may need more feet on the ground for more. So I guess we could kind of leave that open and see how it goes.
to
But that's-
begin with, but, and as things go, you'll probably notice it kind of whittles down to a core group or.
Be attrition, there's always
Yeah, the
attrition.
important factor to me is gonna be the type of representation. I really want a broad representation.
Right.
We've got some real disparate opinions here in town about where things should go, and I'd like to see everybody at the table so nobody feels left out.
Right, yeah, everybody has their own view of what Durham should look like, and,
You want
It's
my
not my town, it's your town,
yes.
so, yeah, that would be great.
Let's get a sidewalk. Let's get a sidewalk down by the bridge so that they're not spilling out into an intersection.
Elfin's all over that.
We need a sidewalk.
Keep the cows out of the way.
All right, act on reappointment of town committees. We have a list here, and I'll kind of go down through it committee by committee, and we can maybe do the vote that way.
Yeah.
So for Conservation Committee, we have Roberta Rosinski, Russell Chabot, and Steve Sinisi.
I move we accept the Conservation Commission as presented.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Motion carries. Historic District Committee, we have Benjamin Love, Candace DeSipkes, Joseph Donovic, Paula B. Erdman Purdy, and Seth B. Koenig, and as alternates, Cliff Peterson and Corinna Edith Miller.
Move we appoint the members of the Historic District Commission as presented.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Do we know that these people are all still interested in serving on these committees, by the way, as we just appoint them
Yeah,
willy-nilly?
We've done the best that we can.
And if they don't, they just won't take the oath and we'll have to.
No,
file
at
their
this
request.
point, they'd have to send us a letter of resignation.
That could be short and sweet.
Lock the mailbox.
I resign, thanks.
All right, Cemetery Committee. Jennifer Fitzpatrick, Joseph Donovic, Linda Bowie, Philip Baker, Richard Thompson, and Tia Nato.
I move that we appoint the cemetery committee as presented.
Second.
All in favor? Motion carries. Eureka Committee, Eureka Community Center Committee. Okay. Anita Sellers, Kathleen Lowe, Nancy Decker, Pearl Scribner, and Rhoda Demchuk.
We appoint the members of the Eureka Committee Center, the Eureka Community Center Committee as presented.
Second.
All in favor? Motion carries.
Abbreviation threw me.
Yes, it did me too. Telecommunications Committee. Jeffrey Layton, John Genusatis, John Ricker, Chris Koenig, and Milton Simon.
I move we appoint the telecommunications committee as presented.
Second.
All in favor? Motion carries. Memorial Day Parade Committee. Chad Burke, Christine Riendo, Colette Wagner, Joseph Howe, Nancy Decker, and Karen Pike.
Move we appoint the members of the Memorial Day Parade Committee as presented.
Second.
All in favor? Motion carries. Is Sandra no longer on that committee?
She never signed her thing and she never showed up to any of the meetings.
Okay. All right. So Durham Scholarship Committee, Kendra O'Connell and Kristen Nam.
I move we appoint the members of the Durham Scholarship Committee as presented.
Second.
All in favor? Motion carries. All right. The next many were going to be election clerks, or with one exception, which I'll note. So for election clerk, Ann Thatcher, Charlotte Wink, Cheryl Sherburne, Dolores Pillsbury, Duncan Chesley, Mary Farrell, Nancy Swinton, Philip Gillickson, Priscilla Higgins, Rocky League, Barbara Jabrow, Beth Morrill, Gary Spring, Mary Farrell.
She's on there twice.
I was wondering about
Sorry.
that. Kathleen Coriel, Ann Neiman, William Blaze, Phyllis Brannon, Celeste Crowley, Christina Thornton, Wendy Chase, or Kays? I don't know.
I don't know.
Cassie?
Kate,
That's exactly.
I apologize for not knowing the name exactly. Victoria Harris, Karen Pike, Michelle Tebow, Jeffrey Boone, Vivian Boone, Pamela Clucci, yeah, Evan Pratt, Barbara Carignan, Cheryl Smith, and for warden, Jill S. Tower.
I move we accept that list as election clerks and warden.
Second.
All in favor? Motion carries. For forest warden, fire rescue chief, and EMA director, William St. Michel.
I move we appoint William St. Michel as Forest Warden, Fire Rescue Chief, and EMA Director.
Second.
All in favor? Motion carries. Town clerk, register, deputy tax collector, and deputy treasurer, Shannon Plurd.
I move we appoint Shannon Plord as town clerk, register, deputy tax collector, and deputy treasurer.
Second.
All in favor? Motion carries.
It's registrar, sorry.
Registrar.
That was
That's
me.
what I was wondering. Yeah, it's already. Code enforcement official, building, plumbing, and electrical inspection, Paul Baines.
I move we appoint Paul Baines as CEO, Building, Plumbing, Electrical Inspector.
Second.
All in favor? Motion carries. Deputy clerk, treasurer, tax collector, deputy general assistance admin, Pam Clucci.
I move we appoint Pam Clucci as Deputy Clerk, Treasurer, Tax Collector, Deputy GA Admin.
Second.
All in favor? Motion carries. General assistance admin, treasurer, tax collector, administrative assistants, and town administrator, and deputy clerk, Ruth Glazier.
So moved.
Second. That's easier, yeah. So seconded.
All in favor? Motion carries. Assistant EMA director, William DeLong.
So move.
Second.
All in favor? Motion carries. Deputy EMS chief, Lisa Groves.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Motion carries. And finally, deputy fire chief, Keith Russell.
So move.
Second.
All in favor? Motion carries. So you get this name spelled right
I was
out.
gonna say, I think that's spelled.
It's
Did I do-
EI.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, I'm gonna have to do a new one then.
Okay.
Spell check didn't work now.
So back to departments and committees, we have a written report from the chief who had to leave.
Yeah.
Got 2 price quotes for work on the meeting room floor, and we'll review them. And he passed his fire inspector 1 class and exam, and has to do some inspections and turn them in.
Yep.
And noting that the new EMS coverage seems to be working pretty well. So, code enforcement.
Hey. No paper. That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm sorry, it's been a really,
You know,
it's been a
with,
bit of a week for me, so.
with these new hours, Paul, we'd really like you to start bringing us a PowerPoint. You know, that'd be great.
Careful what you ask for.
No, I take it back.
The new ordinances, but the land use ordinance and the historic district commission ordinance that were passed at town meeting have now been posted online, so folks that want to review any of the changes and stuff can see the new ordinances there.
I'll make a note on that, because I asked you about the fee schedule and so on. That was included in that ordinance.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah, we did
we're all-
miss it, thanks.
We're all set on that.
We had a little moment of panic Saturday afternoon.
I recognize that when the email came through. We already discussed the comp plan stuff. I would like to continue with the ordinance review group that we had started last year to start to look at more ideas and share more ideas about upcoming changes to the ordinance. I think in this particular regard, we would, we'll see where the folks want to go, but I know there's some interest in tuning up the backlot ordinance. There's some decisions that have come down from the law court in regards to boards of appeals that we need to dissect and reconstruct the appeal section of our ordinance to see that we're trying to stay in compliance with state law and give the people in town the rights they need for appeal. Some of the decisions that came through, and we have the same problem in our ordinance, there's sort of a bifurcated plan. If you need a variance to do something under conditional use, you have to get the variance from the appeals board before you can come before the planning board with your conditional use. However, any finding by the Board of Appeals is open to challenge. So while that one's being challenged, there's still no permit has been issued, then they can challenge the planning board, and this whole thing can get pretty convoluted and eat up a lot of resource for town. So we've got some really good folks in the program that we can sit and kind of look at that structure to see if there's a way we can put it together to not short circuit anybody's rights involved in it, but have it all happen at the right spot in the process to not take enormous amounts of time
Right,
and
to
resource.
create a single path rather than.
Yeah, because it's the way it's set up right now, and I understand where the law court went with it. I don't necessarily agree completely. They've been all over the place on this. Essentially, their ruling came down on behalf of the municipalities, because it costs the municipalities a lot of money to have to pursue these long-term battles among citizens for stuff that's in the ordinance. So hopefully we can sort some of that stuff out.
Question on ordinance review and how far we go with that, with the creation of a comprehensive plan committee and so on. We're going to be looking at that. How much sweeping type changes are we going to want to do before we have something in place for the comprehensive plan?
There's only a couple of places in the ordinance we can do substantive work. The appeal section is one, backlots is one. There's been a lot of talk that the backlot ordinance really hasn't worked well. It really needs to be reviewed, you know, both in the end result is for the folks in town that have backlots, as well as the municipal burden for producing them. So we'll be looking at that, and the board, you know, the board may have some other ideas and some of that in the way to go. They may want to be looking a little bit at subdivision, so I'm not exactly sure where that's going to wind up. But other than that, there isn't a lot of room, like you say, until we've got far enough down the road with the comp plan to start to apply those changes to be in step with it. And that's the other reason why it was important to get the comp plan going, so we can really start to pull our ordinances back in. I think we should look at the growth ordinance and try to determine the structure of that needs to be handled, because it has to be reviewed and by the state every 3 years. It has to be reviewed. There's a tremendous amount of records keeping that has to go with that ordinance in order to maintain it. You know, I know Jeff DeWitt didn't think there's a lot of new homes gone out this year, but 12 of the last 15 permits have been for new homes since mid-December. That's a lot. That was twice as many as overall last year. So if the trend continues, a lot of real estate agents are talking about different lots in town in different subdivisions. You know, their price point's pretty good right now. Interest rates are still pretty good. We'll see where it goes, but there may be some circumstances through the middle here. We'll see where we land, and we can talk a little deeper on the growth ordinance and how we feel we want to approach that if it looks like that threshold's going to be an issue for us this year. So that's that. The Runaround Pound project is going before the planning board tomorrow night as a question of review. I don't believe the planning board needs to review it. If the planning board agrees with me with that, Tom Liscott will get my information to the state, and we will be on a schedule for Runaround Pond. If they feel it does, we'll be on next month's docket. It's that simple. So I'll let you know more next week or the week after how that turns out. I did look into Maine PERS. There are no choices for town employees to Maine PERS. It's an all in or nothing thing. So I was able to go back and look. I think it's a 30-year threshold. If you've paid into Social Security for 30 years, there's no penalty for Maine PERS on Social Security. I'll have to double check that a little bit. So thanks for thinking of me in that, but we don't really have a choice. So, that's pretty much what I have. I would like to ask the board if I can be excused from the rest of the meeting. I've got pretty intense stuff I've been dealing with I got to take care of.
Any other questions? Bye.
Thank you very much.
Have a good evening. Administrator?
Well, I printed out our budget sheets for the first quarter this year. I've looked through them. There doesn't seem to be anything extraordinary on them. And then I just wanted to remind you guys that I will be gone for the next meeting.
Okay. Is somebody going to be able to get an agenda to us?
I'll do the agenda before I leave on Friday.
Would it? I'm wondering if would it do any good to have someone like Pam here if we have any questions?
We can have Pam here.
If she's willing, if she's willing to come in and make sure she puts the time down for it.
Yes, I will.
And this is 2016?
Yes.
Yeah, well,
It's just making sure.
I did have one quick question about it. If there had been some unusual, did we purchase a piece of equipment or something? I wondered why at a quarter of the way through the year, we were almost 42% of the way through the office supply line.
well, that's kind of a confusing one to us too, and the reason being is that for some reason we had a huge number of copies in December, and I'm not really sure why, but we've gone back over the counts over and over again, and
Were we into budgeting then?
I can't figure out how I can say that we didn't have them. So that was $500 right off the top.
So that was because March is the outlier at almost $900.
Yes, well, we didn't pay it for a while
Right,
because
right.
we were looking into it to make sure that it.
Yeah.
And as I asked before, if we can forward this on to the budget committee and
Change the date.
Yes.
change the date, and maybe I believe they had mentioned something about they might want to get together earlier this year and so on. I'm not sure that they necessarily need to meet with the board right away unless if there's a desire to, I'd be happy to have them show up. Otherwise, we can wait until like July after our second
Mhm.
quarter.
Yep.
I think when you had your last joint meeting, you selected the second Tuesday in June, I believe it's the 13th, for them to come and join you.
June, not July?
Yes.
Okay.
July.
July, that's what okay, so we did actually select the date,
Yes, you
okay.
did.
Okay. All right, anything else for this?
No, I'm good, thank you.
Anything for her? Okay. Road Commissioner. Do you have any more copies?
Sure.
Actually, yeah, and this one didn't have anything on it.
Get the good one.
Oops, I guess I grabbed
No,
it
we
off.
can, I was gonna say, we can,
I grabbed it off the printer and I guess, I don't know what happened.
We got plenty.
Well, I
Yeah, we're good.
can listen. I like your first bullet.
I guess I should have. Yeah.
That's just the wrong date.
Oh, second. Oops. Okay, sorry about that.
Yeah.
So tomorrow morning, All States is coming to do the test borings on Runaround Pond Road. And I've heard some rumors that, you know, we've paid to have this done once and now we're paying to have it done again, and that's not true. Runaround Pond, All States simply wants to get their own testing done so they have an exact how they make the formula and the mix, and that something they need to do, so they're paying for it on their own nickel. All we're doing is providing traffic control and a little gravel put back in their holes.
and you said that at town meeting. I remember hearing that they were paying for it.
But I just wanted to make sure I reiterate that, because there's some rumor going around that we're paying for it twice, and it's just, that's not the case, so. So we've been cutting trees along Runaround Pond Road. I've gotten started at least. We'll be getting back to that. Unposted all the town roads last Friday. I've been working quite a bit on Pownell's capital road plan, attending CIP committee meetings. So we're in the middle of their budget right now. We go right from one to the next. So we're back. I'm back to Durham's capital plan. I got a draft done of it, which I can give you a copy of, which I'm going to go back and just do some ground truthing and tighten that up. And I do have some prices that I can give you as a result of that. I guess I could pass these around for you. Just to give you an idea, I mean, this is still a work in progress as well, but it gives you an idea of what it would cost us just to maintain all of our paved roads if they were done and we're just in a maintenance stage. If you look at cost per mile for half-inch shims, 24,800. You know, your total would be, you know, for a shim you wouldn't have any shoulder work because you're just shimming the middle of the road, wheel ruts, and a 3/4 shim. So 1 1/4 inch overlay is $66,173 a mile. 1 1/2 overlay is $78,573 a mile. Chip seal, single chip seal is $29,943 a mile. So if you take those figures and come down to the 10-year plan and the 7-year plan, the 10-year plan is paving at the current $70 ton price. I mean, that could skyrocket, which would throw this whole plan up the window, but just, we'll go with that. That's a high number right now. We're gonna be doing quite a bit better than that this year, so I think we'll be in the low to mid-60s. So just looking at that, if we were to do a half-inch shim and an 1 1/4 overlay, we got we'd have to do 4.72 miles a year. Would be, if we did the 10-year plan. I think that number up top changed just a little bit. I think it was, well, oh, I see, okay, forget that number up top. It's the 47.2 that we're looking for up top on the paved town roads. They're the only ones that would be relevant for the shim and overlay and the pavement maintenance. So divide 47.2 by 10, that's 4.72 miles a year we'd have to do. And we would be, those are your costs with a half inch and 1 1/4 inch overlay, be $438,000 a year, $435. And a 3/4 shim and 1 1/2 inch overlay would be $552,000 a year.
We're sitting at $225,000 a year, what we got to spend, is what you're saying.
Right.
So I'm just showing you, I'm working on, come down to the chip seal, and look at a 1/2 inch shim and a chip seal. You have to do on a 7-year plan because that doesn't last as long as shim and overlay the pavement. So if you put that to a 7-year plan, you're at 6.74 miles a year, 378,000 a year, and 461. So these are just some numbers. The numbers, you know, these are concrete numbers as far as.
And do these numbers reflect strictly contracting it out, or do they reflect doing some of the labor in-house with our existing crew?
Well, these are all things that we can't do. These are something
Okay.
that only the paving company can do.
Okay.
Because there's
I didn't know if it was like a soup to nuts quote or just the paving piece.
The only thing in the paving and the 3/4 shim and the 1/2 inch shim with the overlays have, they have shouldering, which we're doing the shouldering with. That's a 2.5 foot shoulder with 4 inches of gravel. So that number is calculated in that shim and overlay. Whereas with the chip seals, you wouldn't have any shoulder work.
Right.
So I'm working on getting some other options, doing a crumb rubber around $4 a square yard, and so I will expand that. I'm looking for more options to try and get this number, something that's palatable, so I'll.
Try to get our roads out of a 25-year slump.
Right, well, you know.
Stretch that dollar.
I mean, if you're doing a mile a year, and we got 47.2 miles, I mean, it would be 50 years before we get back to this road again, it's not gonna work, so. Just trying to come up with a, you know, and of course, that doesn't include, that's just to maintain what we have, so.
Right, that doesn't
Doesn't include
the
getting
capital
us-
costs.
Getting us there, yeah.
Yeah, so, anyway, just wanted to give you those for, just to look at. When I get it complete, we'll go over some other options, and then we'll come up with. So we're still doing road patching. That'll be ongoing, and that's something that, you know, if we get our roads, Runaround Pond and Rabbit River, hopefully that'll cut down on our patching costs. And today, the crew attended a class in Augusta, roadway fundamentals. So they were up there until 3:30 today.
When do you guys switch? Are you on a 5-day week or a 4? When do you switch over to 410s? Or are you doing that this year?
Yeah, I'm playing it by year. We wanted to start the first of the month, and the weather hasn't been, we're still out. Yesterday, we were out treating the road, so there's snow flurries, and so I'm gonna go to the middle of the month, 15th, and if that looks good at that point, then we'll go for it. If the weather still isn't looking good, then we'll hang on a little bit longer. I think Freeport starts the 15th, and I don't know, well, you guys stay on 4s, or?
No, they started this week.
Oh, they did, yeah. So,
They started a month ago.
so we'll hold up for another week or so and see how it looks.
So wait, just for, in the summer when there's more light, our public works crew switches to 4 10-hour days. And then in the winter, they do 4 9s and a
4,
and a
right?
4.
Yeah. Makes sense.
That's so that the people, the trucks are available to get the roads treated in the morning for school buses and commuters. And So once we get out of the woods on that, then really it's advantageous to not have that extra day of lunch times and break times and startup time and take down time, and you take a whole day of that away, and that saves you quite a bit, so. Tomorrow, I'm meeting with Skip from Freightliner to go over some of the specs on the trucks, revising some of them, some of the stuff that he felt we were a little too beefed up on last time, and some of the stuff we didn't quite have heavy enough for the truck, so we're gonna go over all those tomorrow and see if we agree on that, so before I send that out. There's only about 4 or 5 vendors to send it to anyway. There's Kenworth, Western Star, and International, and so it's only about 4 or 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it'll go out to 4 or 5.
And we have the software for Freightliner.
Yep.
So there's
It's a nice truck.
presumably some value in, if we can afford it, buying a Freightliner, since we have all the diagnostic software already.
Well, yeah, they typically tend to be the lowest priced truck anyway, so.
Talk to Mike a little bit too. What's your plan on putting out for Runaround Pond and Rabbit Road, as far as, I assume we're gonna put it out to bid?
Well, the paving, we've been using the same contract that we've had for the last 3-4 years, just,
With a project like this, we must have a packet we're gonna have other people bid on it, a Pike or Story Brothers or
Yep.
whoever wants, they can use whoever they want. They can use Crooker, or they can use Pike or whatever. You must have a certain,
yeah. Well, what we were looking at doing is the same thing with the paving that we've been doing, is using Crooker for the paving, and we'll look at the earthwork. The earthwork, we would,
Yeah, it's just, I mean, we've been on this, 3 years, 4, yeah, and on a major, I mean, they've got, it's probably a good price and so on, but it is good for us to look around,
Especially on this amount of money.
and really the townspeople expect us to look around and make sure that we're getting a good price. And Crooker said they'd honor this, right?
Yep.
And so on, but it's one of those.
yeah, and I'm sure whoever was gonna bid on this, whether it's the Story Brothers, they're gonna go to Crooker and say, we need you to give us a price to do this in Durham, and they're gonna give them the same price or whatever. I don't care.
Well, the other thing also to factor in is, to the extent that there's savings of scale, if whomever is doing Pownell and Freeport, I know there have been some discussions about the 3 communities trying to time their paving at the same time to save some money. So
Yeah.
that's sort of another moving part to
As
add into
far as the
process.
paving goes, but I'm talking, they're rebuilding the road and construction on the road. I mean, they're gonna have whoever paves it, and they can go along with the surrounding towns, but we got a lot of construction going on that road, and I'd like to see a lot of bids come in, or most we can get. And people are hungry right now, and they gotta start planning out their year, so I was wondering if you've got a packet for people to pick up, or when do you plan on getting that out
we
there?
don't even have an engineer yet, so that's I had
2
to
months
wait-
away,
I had to
or-
wait to see if the budget got approved to get the engineering money, and
There we go.
so now that we have that done, but I think we've 2 years into the contract with Crooker, which they would honor the same price, but they would use what's called the escalator, and we would,
Which in this case would hopefully de-escalate.
right, and so that would drop the price. And,
So this was a multi-year
yeah,
thing that we went in with Crooker, but.
yeah, so, and everybody bid on it at that time, and they were the best, they were the lowest. So they're keeping that same contract, it's just that as the price of asphalt goes down, their price goes down to match it, so
Okay.
it's essentially the same contract, except the pavement gets cheaper as the price of asphalt drops.
But we're not doing just an overlay, right? We're doing a
Right.
rebuild, so.
For all the paving and Freeport's paving went out to bid, and for all their paving with the school. So Pownell Elementary was in there, Freeport schools, and Freeport's roads. But that was the extent of that.
And I was gonna also suggest whatever we do, that we throw the fire department parking lot
Well,
in
that's
with
what
it.
I was gonna leave him a note today and say, because he would qualify for our discount anyway, so.
But in his report, his written report mentions that, I think.
Yeah. So Kevin, we're gonna have to wait till we get the engineers' input to get the scope of this work. They're gonna be bidding out to everybody. Is that what we're gonna do?
Yep.
Okay, and then we'll just meet up with them quick as we can. Is that what we plan on doing?
Yep, so, I will, I will get that out to,
I know you're busy, yeah.
hopefully sometime this week.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
We have some engineering done, and I'm going through that, but I don't have any road profiles, and I'm thinking maybe there was one done, I just haven't located it yet, so I'm gonna call that engineer and see if maybe we've already got one. It appears the engineering was done from the park to the Pownell Town line, that section of road.
Yeah.
There was a survey done, and,
That sounds right, because that was the worst part of the road, and
Yeah.
I believe that sounds right for what we did.
yeah, so,
I
I don't
just-
wanna reinvent the wheel. If there's already work done in that section, I wanna use it, so.
I know the contractors out there are gonna start filling up their year, and I'd like to have them bid on it, and before they get too filled up and say, no, we're too busy to bid on that. I just wanna try to get it out to them.
And one of the things that we have to factor in, because our tax commitment doesn't go out until July, is
We'll be
that
after
we
that.
don't have the funds to pay for it until the latter part of the paving season.
Well, that was the next question, is how we pay for it. The bond banks, their spring season's ended, so.
Well, so this would be through a municipal.
Right, through a bond, so we have to, yeah.
And likely, so far, the way we've done loans and so on, we've gone to banks. Banks have actually given us better prices than the bond banks, than the bond, and so likelihood is we'll go that way, where we've missed the spring one anyway, we'll probably go that way anyway and see what we can find.
So we're gonna need your signature quite a bit, so we go through that, all right?
So would that, because I don't know, did you ever get an answer on bond anticipation note? Did you have to have the approval from the bond bank before you could get one of those?
I wouldn't think so.
The question
I
came
can
up.
ask, yeah.
I know we've had this discussion in Pownell, was Scott thought that you would need an actual approval by the bond bank. You'd have to apply for it and wait until they approved it. So if that's the case, we wouldn't be till September or so.
We need
No,
to start moving
Unless we go
forward
through
with,
a bank
Right.
and
The bond.
just do
Right,
a loan.
But a bond anticipation note would be through a local bank, so
Yeah,
I don't
but-
know.
I mean, so, yeah, but I wouldn't think you'd necessarily need that, because what if you're just doing it as anticipating getting a loan from a bank, or, it's,
Yeah,
Right, If,
'cause we did a bond anticipation
Yes.
note with,
for the public works, yeah. It was
and-
one.
okay, so so I guess we need to start looking into that process.
Yeah.
So we know where we're gonna get the money. If we gotta go to a bank, we need to start
And-
that.
Can we get some of that done before you head out on vacation? Maybe
Yeah, I have a bond
groundwork?
counsel that we work with, so I'll call her up and see what she,
Because with that project, we don't have to worry about the.
right, that,
'cause
I
we-
forgot that was
yeah.
bonded, that's a.
Okay, we don't have any capital money anywhere else set aside for, I'm just.
We'll check the couch cushions.
You mean the slush fund?
I didn't know if you've been putting away money for these things for a while, or no? Just thought I'd ask.
Our
We have the
our
capital
while
fund
is,
for the truck,
is,
but-
town meeting to town meeting. That's our while.
Yeah,
You guys all ready to go? Got your feet on the ground, feet under you more, legs more under you this year?
we're ready to go.
After they listen to the town meeting there and cost analysis being thrown around and you got the truck by one vote, people are watching, to say the least.
Well, I've done some math. We have 560,000 feet of ditch line. You think that was the number I came up with?
Something like that, yeah.
So I was thinking, divide that by, for heavy ditching it. So anyway, it's a lot of days. I'm working on coming up with a plan, like the road plan for a ditching plan, and we had, in fact, in the class today.
But make sure you just add our crew, not Pownell crew in on that, so
Right.
people wanna know what Durham's paying, not what we paid to have, we already got money that was owed to us, so we had to get back.
Oh, no, we actually owe them money now, so.
Oh, yeah.
Or actually, no, which way are we now? No, they owe us money, yeah.
Thank
No,
God this,
One or the other.
We're back, it's very close, but anyway, it's, so, coming up with a ditching plan is gonna be, because it doesn't do any good to put all this money in the roads and then have them underwater, so. In fact, we took that class today, and the instructor said, how many people here have a ditching plan? He says, don't lie, not many hands went up. So, something, that I actually have a plan, not just when I get to it or if I get a chance. That was what most people, that's most people's approach to a ditching plan. But so that's what I've got.
Anything else for Calvin? All right,
Thanks, Calvin.
So
Thank you very much.
Just so I'm clear, now, I think I found the rest of them. They were stuck. Hit with one of them. Just so I'm clear, we're going to, the budget's approved, so,
the budget is approved at the levels that we presented to the town.
okay, so we can get the engineering for Run Around Pond, we can get that going. And you're gonna work on getting us some money
Yep,
to build a road.
yes.
So we'll discuss that at the next meeting, what our plans are for that part of it.
Okay.
And then, so that means we wouldn't have to wait until July's. Okay, all right.
Thanks, Calvin.
Upcoming meetings, regular selectmen's meetings held here at the town office, Tuesday, April 19th, and Tuesday, May 3rd at 6:30 PM. Anything else for announcements? Okay. I'd like to move that we go into executive session pursuant to 1 MRSA 405-6A personnel matters, wage raises.
Second.
All in favor? Motion carries.